Okay, so I wanted to tell you a story.
Oh, okay.
I know I didn't warn you about this.
But
this is how I'm going to start the story.
Stories.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
My cousins are actually each other's sisters. And I'm not even from Arkansas.
Okay. You're shooting. Arkansas getting strays over here.
So my mom's dad passed away when he was like in his late 50s. And my uncles and my mom's...
I'm going to tell you something real quick.
Oh, gosh.
I will let you keep talking. But
Okay.
what you're about to do is the equivalent of me telling you a series of numbers.
Oh, really?
In a row.
You can't.
But I'm going to try to.
Okay. Well,
keep going.
Okay, I'm going to try. Okay.
All right.
So my uncle, right? My mom's brother. His wife
Okay.
lost her mom when her mom was young. Okay. So my aunt and my uncle, who are like they're married to each other, right?
Yeah.
They each lost a parent,
Mm-hmm.
a dad and a mom. So my grandmother comes to visit me, or my family, and my mom calls her brother's father-in-law. I was like, "Hey, can you take my mom golfing?"
Mm-hmm.
And this was he took her out in the morning, and they did not come home till very late that evening. And then 3 months later, they got married, which made my aunt and uncle stepbrother and sister technically, even though they had been married before all of this. Right? They were in their 30s when this happened. So that technically also made my cousins, they're each other's cousins and sisters.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's weird, right? But it's a weird family tree.
But it gets weirder. No, I was just waiting for that.
I don't think it does.
Okay, good. I hope it didn't get weirder.
No, I mean, we knew my aunt's family a really long time. I think that's probably how my uncle met her. Mm-hmm. Is we were family friends for a really long time. My mom was really good friends with my aunt's mom.
Yeah.
So, it was just sort of a natural thing, and we all loved them and were so glad that they had each other because they were really young to lose their spouses.
Yeah.
And so we were glad that they weren't, they had each other. But and Bobby, that was his name, was very sweet. At meal, every single meal time when he would say grace or whatever, he always would finish it by, "And thank you for my sweet Caroline and her love." Isn't that the sweetest thing?
Yes.
He was so sweet.
Grace.
I know. He said Grace.
She died years ago.
Oh my God, why are you like this? And that's my story about how family trees are weird.
I wish I had a weird one, and I'm from Arkansas.
So you should have a weird.
But I did recently find out this neat thing that my dad told me. There is someone long ago in Scotland. So we trace back our lineage back there. That there's someone in our family whose last name's Nesbitt. It's not a Kimbrough. They're a Nesbitt.
Okay.
I guess, but they're still in the family. And it's a Christian martyr in Scotland. Yeah, and he's got this whole
That's
thing
cool.
I know. So someday I'm gonna have to go to Scotland and find.
Have you seen those shows? I can't remember what the show is called. Where but it's the celebrities and they trace their ancestors, and then at the end they do the genetic cousins, and oh God, what's the guy, Andy Cohen from Bravo, is related to Scarlett Johansson.
Oh,
did you know this?
no.
Edward Norton and Julia Roberts are genetic cousins.
How about this?
I just saw this.
Have you ever done a 23andMe or
No, I haven't.
genetic
Have
testing?
you?
I haven't, but Hannah has. My sister has. I think my parents have. So I've got a lot of people around me that have, but I have not ever done the testing.
I haven't either. I don't know. I mean, I'm not into it. I just haven't ever done it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But people who are into genealogy are usually really into genealogy, and I'm grateful for it. But I don't have that kind of time right now.
No.
Yeah. That's sort of what we talked about.
Yeah.
On Sunday.
Kind of, sort of.
The
Trees,
family tree.
families.
The family tree. And we did talk specifically about trees.
Yeah.
And All Saints. So let's talk about it some more. Well, I'm Becca. I'm the pastor of family ministries here at Katy First.
And I'm Mark. I'm the senior pastor at Katy First.
Welcome to the Katy First Family Podcast, where we offer ideas, inspiration, and encouragement to help you and your family grow as joyful disciples of Jesus Christ. This week, we're going to be talking about All Saints and the family tree.
Yeah.
And neither of us preached on
Neither
Sunday.
one of us preached. The Holy Spirit just showed up and started audibly speaking in the room.
In the form of
the Reverend Shelley Williams.
Yeah, she did great.
Who did a wonderful job. And Shelley, literally is one of those, her ancestors are the beginning of Katy community. So it was she told some really cool stories about not only her memory of where people sat in the sanctuary that were her family, but
it was so cool though.
Just a lot of cool stories about
her great grandmother's house was where the pumpkin patch is. That blows my mind.
My favorite was her telling about her great grandpa who took acorns from the trees at Rice University and then just walked around with a stick. I'm imagining Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah, very much like that.
And just making holes and then putting a seed in the ground. And now all these big live oaks that we have around downtown.
Yeah. I just don't think there's any better metaphor for faithful living.
Yeah, that was really
than
good.
Planting trees.
Yeah.
I loved it. She talked about a part of the scripture. It was talking about how God will make a home among mortals and how God is here with us. One of the illustrations she used, I don't think she, we sit behind her, but I don't think she did this with her hands. But the way she said it, she kept talking about how God lovingly sweeps us all up into the family. And I kept picturing this big scooping motion. And it felt so sweet. Loving obviously is the word she used, but it just felt so cozy and familiar. And I loved that idea of God with us and desiring to be so near to us that he just scoops us up into a big family hug. And I thought that kind of was a good way to talk about All Saints can be really tricky. So we talk about All Saints and it's, we remember the saints who have gone, specifically we list those from our church family that have passed away, who've died in the last year. And then also just a moment to recognize, all of those who have passed away. Yeah. And so it can be a little sad, I think. Yeah. Especially if it's your first year hearing, when you hear your loved one's name read, I think it can be a little bit of a tough moment. But it also sits right next to this beautiful hope. Yeah. And she actually, one of the things that Shelley said too was that faith is knowing that God is the beginning and the end. And it reminded me of this thing that I talk about with our younger kids, our elementary and even the preschool age kids. Because some of the Bible stories we read are really scary because they're out of context. Well, they're scary anyway, but especially out of context. Because you pull apart the Moses story and it's scary, or Joseph, right? And so the thing I always kind of warn them about is listen, sometimes when we're reading these stories, the middle is sad or scary or hard or whatever. But just remember, because God is writing the story, that the end is going to be good. So if you're scared in the middle, just hold on, because the end is going to be good. And I had no intention, this wasn't some metaphor for life. It was literally just, hey, little kids, we're going to talk about this story. And Joseph's brothers beat him up. So it's not a good, it's a scary story. So I just, I want you to know, it's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. Before you read the story, know it's going to be okay. And I think saying that idea of God as Alpha and Omega, actually that felt the same kind of thing. Just because, hold on, you're in the middle of the story. God's still writing the ending. It's going to be good. Yeah. So for me, that was a really hopeful moment.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
All Saints is I love All Saints Sunday. I also love even at the Oscars when they read the names of the people who died in the past year and there's just something very even though we talk about this in kind of the cloud of witnesses is the language that we often use on this day. there's this sort of like, I don't know the word for this, mystical. There's just like sense to it, but at the same time, it's one of the Sundays that's the most grounding.
Yeah.
And for us, we have family members who bring these candles that are, as we read their name and we put their candle up on the altar. Like there's just, it is one of our, to me, one of our beautiful moments where we hold a lot of the threads of our faith together in a powerful day.
Yeah.
Because you said this earlier today, but like with just death and hope, with grief and gratitude, these stories are always, every All Saints, you can't help but think, even if you were standing up there talking about your grandma, I couldn't help but probably think about my grandma, or just someone in my life that's taught me about Jesus. And so I love All Saints Sunday. It is one of my favorite of the year. Yeah.
I feel like it's not an accident the time of year that it is.
Right.
And so I love that, things get a little bit weird as it gets literally darker outside. I think we kind of tend to think about darker things. And this is maybe like a stressful time right now, maybe more for some than others. And it's just, I have felt like a certain like heaviness, like maybe that's not even the right word. It has felt like some hard stuff is coming in from lots of different directions. So almost like we're just surrounded by tough stuff. Just loss and sorrow and uncertainty and fear and all of these things in our congregation and in our world and maybe even personally for people.
Yeah.
And what I loved about the way that Shelley spoke about the scripture and about All Saints was that it isn't just that they are remembering a loss, that we're actually remembering how we're held together and we're united together, not later when we escape out.
Yeah.
But like right now.
Yeah.
That we are actually held together by the Spirit of God right now.
Yeah.
And it made, for me, it was this, I needed that remembrance in the middle of what's felt like kind of a hard couple weeks. Of like, oh no, we're held up and held together, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's good. It is good. It's not going to be good. It's good right now.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't feel especially good right in this minute. I think that's one of the things that's really like tricky sometimes, whatever your stage of life is, whatever you're navigating in life, is the fact that things are so, they always go together. So like you were saying with like death and hope and grief and gratitude, and there's like joy and fear can live in the same house. Or maybe not fear, worry, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think the fact that those two things exist, I think sometimes we feel like we have to pick a lane or pick a side.
Yeah.
And actually, all of that's held together by the Spirit of God as well.
Yeah.
And the Spirit of God is working all things out for good.
Yeah. Did your church growing up, was All Saints a part of it normally? Do you remember?
It must have been. I don't really remember it.
Yeah, I think it was for mine too. I don't know that I was probably aware of it, probably as a younger kid.
Yeah, I don't.
But I'm just thinking about how, like, for kids in death it can be a scary thing.
Sure.
And it's I'm glad in our church that we can do this in a way that, as much as I like Halloween, doesn't play into this like real spooky or like something to be afraid of. Like in the church, we can talk about death in ways that are normalized. That and maybe that's, I don't know. Like I'm just thinking about how like a kid that may be attending our church, or a parent, like those can be hard conversations. I know parents, like when you have the first family member, a grandparent, that dies.
It's tough.
I know in our family when that happened, and some of my nieces and nephews, like, where did they go? Like these conversations. And so like, I think these are like little bits that give us opportunity to talk about this. Obviously every human's going to experience death. Like to be able to talk about this in a way that's apart from a scary movie or apart from, like, it gives us the space for kids to go, there's something sacred and beautiful about the fullness of life.
Yeah.
And thinking about those people who've shaped me that may no longer be here. Mm-hmm. And as I've grown older, I've even become more like, and that also includes people I don't know at all, like, who are
100%.
part of that. So anyway, I'm just sort of rambling on.
No, I think
just
it's
thinking
good.
about how it is for kids and
Have
families.
you know who Andrew Garfield is?
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man.
Yep.
A one-time Spider-Man.
Yep.
He's also in like a million other things.
Yep.
So his mom passed away not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been really vocal about it. Have you seen all of this?
Mm-mm.
He's talked about it a lot. And he'll like cry like on talk shows, or he actually did this like really sweet thing on Sesame Street recently.
I think I maybe heard about this.
Yeah. He talked about how that grief is like, it's okay to cry.
Yeah.
Or it's okay to miss them because it shows like love.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so wonderful to be like, oh, because this grief is actually a good thing because it shows all this love that you have and that you shared.
Yeah.
And I thought, I think that's such a much better way of talking about what it means to exist in the actual world, not to try to just live in a bubble where we pretend these things don't happen.
Yeah.
Or that they never will. But really rather to know that we are knit together and that the gift of that means that even when things are hard or scary or we're experiencing loss, that that love stays with us. And even if that also makes us sad, it also brings us such great joy.
Yeah.
And that things really are beautiful, even in the duality of them.
Yeah.
Which is a tough thing, right? Like how you say duality to a 3-year-old. But you can explain that, that this is what happens and that we love them. And we're sad, but we're still held together because we love them and they love us and God loves us all. Yeah. It's a tough thing. Parenting through any of these things is difficult, but it is a gift to be able to do it together. Yeah. So, I mean, All Saints is one of those beautiful, gifts of the church. Yeah. And one of those traditions. Like I said, I don't remember doing it as a kid. In fact, I don't remember the first time I did it ever. But maybe that's part of the gift is like, it's just so routine. Yeah. At some point, I must have been aware of it. But, Yeah. It was so, not every day, but common that it just didn't occur to me to be like thrown by it, Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Can we talk about the olive tree?
Yes, the olive tree that was like super old.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Have you seen this olive tree?
No. Have you?
Did you go to the Garden of Gethsemane?
Yes.
So, you probably did if you went.
Yeah.
Well, either way. So she brings up this image of a olive tree that's in the Garden of Gethsemane, and talks about the nature of olive trees is how they just like keep sprouting, like new parts in the tree, like. And this one picture she showed had where people estimate that one part of that tree could be 2,000 years old, which means it would have potentially been a tree that Jesus was in the garden with on that night. So, and then how like progressively you could see like new shoot, old part, but like it was all still part of that tree. And like, so that image was neat. I also sort of loved the way that Shelley talked about all this. Like there was a really neat kind of both and to, it was so super localized. She was talking about her family members and this part of Katy and like, but then she had this way of saying, but this isn't just about some little small insider group and how like this tree just keeps growing. And I thought it was a really good way of sort of demonstrating like how you can honor and love like a very specific, even small down to your own family, but how like when we're talking about this family tree, this Christian tree, it's never just about one little small thing. We're always a part of this much larger big thing that God is doing and sprouting new things.
Yeah, this whole like forest.
Yeah, and go listen to the sermon because however she talked about it was really good, and I didn't take good notes, but I just remember thinking, well done. Like,
yeah,
this doesn't feel too small. This feels
it
like
feels
you've
both
tapped into like personal and the full collective of like everyone.
Very particular and also universal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is exactly, I think, the Christian experience of being uniquely personal and relational with just you, and universal.
Yeah.
I love that. I just really enjoyed the whole service, and I think, listen, I'm always here for a good like gardening metaphor, allegory.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's so much truth in, as a Christian, as a parent, as a person, in this idea of planting things, growing things, tending things that you have no intention of ever being able to see the full fruit of. Yeah. Planting trees you will not be able to sit under. Mm-hmm. And I think that for me is so encouraging, because I sit under other people's trees, and that's such a gift. To be able to pay that forward is also such a gift.
Yeah.
So
yep.
I was also like a little jealous of her ability to like talk about her deep roots in one place. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really special.
Yeah.
To be able to stand in the same place as your great grandmother and talk about, sharing that. I thought that was really special. But I felt like I got to be a part of her particular family.
Yeah.
For a little bit too. So that was special.
Yeah.
I think that's something that's unique to Katy First, is the particularity of exactly where we're situated.
Yeah.
Just 126 years old, and so just this longevity right here in this town, and the particular part that we get to play in the town history.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, with our old trees.
With our old trees.
Our legacy trees.
Yep.
They literally, one has a plaque.
They're like.
It has like a little plaque.
They're working on a second one.
I know. Which, to be fair, is also like one of my favorite trees on our campus.
Yeah.
It's so pretty. I don't know what kind of tree is that?
Oh, Lynn just told me what tree it was.
Who did?
Lynn Paulson, who's with Keep Katy Beautiful.
Yeah.
We were just having this conversation, and she just told me.
Is that a birch tree?
No, I don't know.
It has really pretty leaves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, trees notwithstanding, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope that you have found some growing inspiration for yourself and for your family. If you'd like to get our podcast delivered directly to you, you can subscribe or follow us on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. And you should go ahead and just subscribe so that you can make sure to hear us every single week.
That's right. I didn't check to see if our subscriber broke the mark. Someone may have done it.
I have no idea.
We got to go look.
Okay.
If not, click the subscribe button.
I know. We have to start saying that.
Get us over the 100 or 200 number. I can't remember that word.
And if you liked what you heard today, go ahead and subscribe, is what I wrote down to say. Look, do you see I wrote it? Yes. For more information about Katy First and upcoming events for your family, visit our website at katyfirst.org. Most importantly, we want you to know that in the middle of your ordinary, messy life, whatever that looks like for you in this moment or today, know that you are not alone. You are doing a good job, and you are so, so loved.
And we hope to see you on Sunday. We're starting a brand new series all about communion for 3 weeks. So we're taking communion every Sunday for the rest of the month. And it's going to be a really good time. So we'd love to see you on Sunday. But have a great week and see you later.
Bye.